The Sabians are a mysterious religious group that have been called star worshippers. For millennia, they have tracked the stars with an advanced astronomy that they keep closely guarded. They claim that the Earth is about to pass through a dense part of the Taurid Meteor stream and that our planet is in grave danger. For this reason, many call them a Doomsday cult, but they don't care. They're well funded and they've convinced the Mikelsfjord City Council to sell them this nature reserve. They plan to use the mountain both as a dark sky preserve to monitor the stars and a place to build their subterranean survival bunkers.
Hi everyone and welcome to Gaming with Vindicator, where we're building the city of Mikelsfjord. So today we're setting up a star worshipping Doomsday cult. Nothing out of the ordinary here. I have no idea how this is going to work out honestly, but I can almost guarantee it will be a strange build, so let's go! We're going to start by looking for the highest part of this nature reserve, which is going to become our Doomsday area, and I think it's this. And we're going to put a way for our cultists to actually monitor the stars, and that's of course an observatory. It makes sense to put it at the highest point, so we're going to put it here, which means that we're going to need to move this this fire watchtower just a touch, and we'll flatten out a spot, and we'll see if we can make a little bit of a pad for a observatory. Alright, I'm thinking which way do I want this oriented, and I think I want it oriented sort of toward the city, only because it's going to look nicer that way. I don't want it looking off to the edge of the map. So we'll put in our road here, and we'll figure out a way to get down this mountain. Now let's see what this observatory looks like. Alright, oh look, you can see right in there. Get up close. Wow, the attention to detail is amazing. That's pretty great. Alright, now we gotta figure out a way to get down off this mountain because we are quite high up and it's going to be a long way down. So I'm thinking we might tie in here at the end of this quiet little farm road. And let's just see how we can do it. I'm gonna turn on the terrain and just find a path downward. So I do want some way to control access to this area because after all it is a very private cult, so we're going to want to put in a toll booth here as our access point. Alright, I'm just looking for areas that seem a little bit too steep, and so far, I mean, yes, it's a very mountainous road, but I think we're doing something very cool here. I'm liking the way it's turned out. It certainly would be a treacherous road. There's a little bit of a weird dip happening here. I think we'll smooth this out a little bit. That's better. I don't love that there's streetlights on these roads, but I'm not aware of a way to get rid of them unless you use the dirt roads. So we'll keep them for now. Alright, so this is definitely steep, but I think it's workable. We'll put this guy back on top of the hill where it belongs. We'll cover our flammable trees here. Okay, so that's one heck of a road. I'm liking it. Now, we're going to use this road as the backbone for everything else we're going to build in here today. And the one thing I want to do is I want to move this. This is no longer a fire watchtower. It is a guard tower. So we're putting this, let's put this on the outside. Right at the entrance to the cultists' lair. And this is going to be a way for the cultists to just monitor what's going on and keep an eye on people. Let's get some water all the way up and down this road. Alright, and you will notice that we're going to need some power in here, so I think it makes a lot of sense to get in a wind turbine because I suspect that there is a lot of wind at the top of this mountain. So we're going to place this just a little bit lower than the horizon of that observatory, just so that this tower won't be in the way of their star observations, but at least it will. Ooh, I was hoping it would spread to over here, but we'll connect everything later. I have a plan for that as well. Anyway, there's our power. The next thing I want to do is these Sabians, these star worshippers, they are definitely interested in watching the sky. So they're also interested in meteors, and we're going to want to put in the Meteor Park, and I'm wondering just where that might fit the best. And of course, we're going to have to figure out where we're going to get a little bit of flat land. I think over here might be our best bet for putting in just a little bit of a few of the things that I want to get in there. But before we do that, where can we put this Meteor Park? It seems like near the entrance would be a smart idea, and it will serve as a sort of both a monument and a warning. Actually, let's put that up on the hill here, and we'll flatten out a bit of a pad and try to get a little bit of something fun going on with this. How do we like that for location? Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's a bit of an overlook, and it's, I don't know, maybe maybe it's a signal for people to stay away, or maybe it's just something that greets you on the way into your new community here of becoming a cultist. Who knows? Great, and the next thing we want to do is we're going to take advantage of this second highest hill, and we're going to put in something else here. There's our deep space radar, and I think this makes an excellent complement to the observatory over there, because hey, if you're a star worshipping Doomsday cult and you're looking for meteors, you probably want a deep space radar, and this will have the separate effect of being good for the entire region. How do we do there? Let's check the grade on this. It's not terrible. It's certainly functional. Okay, wonderful. And we're going to connect up all this power at some later date, but pretty soon. Now these people need a place to stay, and I think the best thing we can do is give them subterranean vaults. We're not probably going to use the large emergency shelter, but I think the small emergency shelter would work perfectly. And I'm going to just turn this off so I can see where exactly I'm putting these. And I want these to actually function as a way to jump the power as well. So it's going to be interesting to figure out where these can go. But essentially, I'm envisioning these as sort of entrances to the mountain where everyone's going to be hunkering down in case of emergency. So let's see how I can position these, and I might have to do a bit of adjusting in order to get the power to jump. While I'm thinking of it, I want to also put in one more sort of disaster prepper related item, and that is the radio watchtower, the radio tower. Now I wonder if that's going to interfere with the deep space radar, but we're going to say it's fine. So we have all the power connected up and down the line, but I'm seeing that we just don't have enough power, so we're going to need another wind tower somewhere. Let's see where that might make sense to put that in. Let's see if that clears up the power outage issue. There's one. Oh dear. I'm wondering how much power these are actually using. I wonder if maybe they're loading, and that's why we don't have enough. Okay, they're slowly being powered, I guess. Maybe they've got batteries that are charging, so they seem to be fine now. We're going to just keep an eye on that. Alright, there's one other thing I wanted to do now. These people, they're going to need food, and as much as they'd like to, it's just too expensive to grow this underground. So the alternative, the best alternative that they can come up with is that they're going to start growing food inside a biodome. And thankfully, due to one of the older content creator packs, we have one. Let's find a flat pad for this. So let's think about this logically, actually. We're going to need a flat pad for two things, the biodome and for the helicopter access, because this would definitely have helicopter access. This is a wealthy cult we're dealing with here. They would have direct helicopter access to the airport to get people in and out. I'm thinking this is probably the most flat pad that we have, so let's see what we can do with this. Alright, so there's our helicopter access with a pretty much straight shot to the airport. We're going to have to get in the path for this, but let's see if we can get the biodome in first. I know this asset's actually bigger than it looks, because it needs a space to take off, but let's see if we can squeeze the biodome in. We've got water, we've got electricity. Alright, I'm feeling good with this. Let's finish up that helicopter route. Cannot build on water. Okay, that's confusing me just a little bit. Let's just back this off and see if that helps. Okay, that is truly bizarre. Let's figure out what is going on here. I believe we're connected, and this is my first helicopter route, so I'm kind of excited. Let's get this helicopter connected and see what happens. Okay, we seem to just have to click a bunch of times to get that to work, and hopefully now if I complete it, it's good to go. Awesome, okay. And I can put my biodome back. And I noticed that I did not have my helicopter depot connected to the actual helicopter line, which I think is something that needs to happen, so let's do that. And let's see if the helicopter comes out now. There it goes. All right. Now we have a way for our evil geniuses, our quasi-villains, to get to their secret apocalyptical lair. And I see a bunch of them taking off, which I'm guessing means that we're going to have way too much capacity on this line. Let's take a look. While we're at it, let's call this the, what do we call them? The Sabians. The Sabians. Let's call it the Doomsday line. Love it. Okay, and we have 6 helicopters. That's way too many. I know this is going to be a very lightly traveled route. Not really serving a function more than the imaginary, so we'll leave it at 2 helicopters. Call it a day. Great, what's next? Back to our cultist paradise over here. There is one thing I wanted to do, and I thought, oh man, this will be just like a James Bond movie. We're gonna need a little bit of a secret wharf over here, and so I thought the best way to do that would probably be to use the dirt path. I think it looks really nice when we build it over the water. And let's start it, say here. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So here's a little wharf, a way for us to get in supplies. It's in this very secluded bay here. And how do we get it into the mountain? Well, just like this. Very secluded, very mysterious. I love it. And who knows what's going on underneath this mountain? There's a huge warren, I'm sure. I wonder if they get a city permit for that. I doubt it. All right, and I notice we're still struggling with some power issues, so I wonder if it wouldn't be a terrible idea to put in just 1 or 2 more wind towers. Just to make sure we're powering up all these. Now, I don't actually have any idea how these emergency shelters work. As you may have noticed, I've turned off disasters for this series. I just didn't want to deal with it. But I might do some research on that and see if we can actually use these for some effect in the game. But at this point, we're just using these emergency shelters as sort of an entrance to the interior of the mountain. And I'm getting some Fallout vibes here. And so, you know what? Let's do something fun and just rename all of these. Cool. Yeah, just a little silly homage to the game of Fallout, which I've played way too much in my time. Okay, what's next? Listen, these people are probably relatively private, I would think, since they're a very secretive cult. And by the way, let's just upgrade this road here. And so they're going to want a fence, and I'm going to look at our fences, but I think it might make the most sense to put in the airport fence because it looks the most like a keep-out fence. So let's take a peek at these fences and check on the airport fence. So here's our first option. Now it does have a picture of a plane on it, which is, it's not exactly perfect. I don't have a way to change that. Let's see if there are any other fences that might work. I like the fact that looks like it has barbed wire on the top of it. Park fence is too fancy. Amusement park, actually that might work. Let's just check on this. Yeah, wrought iron, that'd be very expensive for what we're thinking. Yeah, I like the airport fence. I know that it's got the picture of the plane on it, but I don't think it matters. Let's get this area fenced in. And the one thing I want to consider is I can't fence in the power lines. That would be a public utility, and so I'm going to stick to the far side of these power lines. Alright, we're fenced in. Not the most beautiful fence work I've ever done, but I don't want to waste too much time on being particular with this. So, what do we have? We have our guard tower and our entryway. You gotta be in the cult to get in. And then you come up this mountainside. You got actually quite a nice view. And then we head higher into the mountains. And you've got your memorial. A warning perhaps that, hey, meteors might be coming again and we need to watch the skies. We've got our first Doomsday shelter and a whole series of these up along the cliffs, and we've got our deep space radar up top. We've got our biodome where we're growing food. Everything else is underground. This is after all, a dark sky preserve, which means that we're keeping the lights to a minimum. And if we switch to nighttime, I'm hoping that there's not a lot of light here. And let's do that now. Yeah, so the unfortunate part is that these roads do have the street lights. And I wonder if we're able to convert that to any other roads that don't have street lights. I'm guessing they all do, but I might get lucky. Let's say, for example, I wonder if I'm pretty sure the dirt road won't have. No, it doesn't. And what about, even the industry roads have street lights, so I'm really not sure what I can do about that. I don't really want to send dirt roads all the way up here. This is a very well-funded cult after all, and they're going to have money to pave the roads, so I'm not sure. Aside from, let's check some of these. No, same deal. Yeah, that adds quite a lot of street lights. Not sure what can be done. They've all got streetlights, so we're gonna leave it. But what are you gonna do? It is relatively dark, aside from the massive amounts of lights on this observatory, which seems kind of strange and unusual. But I think we can live with it. We can just we can pretend. We can say that this is actually a dark sky preserve, and when you look at it compared to the rest of the city, it is. It's very dark. And that's the reason we put our observatory in a dark sky preserve is so that we can actually see the stars. We don't get all the light pollution that would be affecting the city otherwise. So back to daytime, and let's turn off our night-day cycle. Great. So what have we done here? We've put in everything I think that I wanted to. There are just a few more things I'd like to do, some fixes from the last episode that I want to make. And after that, I'll do a quick city tour. But let's do this. There's some landscaping omissions that I've made, and I think first one is here. I'd like to block this commercial area, which is surprisingly uniform. That's fine. But I want to put some trees behind here because this is on a hill. It's not very usable land. So let's block it off from the rail line. That definitely adds a bit of a layer of protection. And if we go to the passenger cargo station here and we look, it does actually give them a little bit more privacy. Probably some benefits in noise barrier as well. But we've done that. Now, the one thing that's bugging me is this beach here is really a little bit jagged, so we're gonna smooth that out. Alright, that's significantly better. It's not perfect, but just lightly tapping the button there to get a little bit of a smoothing effect going. And now the beach looks like it's pristine again. Yeah, and speaking of trees and detailing, I did want to add a few trees behind the train station. This is rather bare, and I think we can get some trees in here. Alright, I think that looks a lot better, and it's going to give a bit of privacy and some noise barrier between the hotels and the train station. And how are we doing for residential demand? We definitely have some, so I'm going to fix that. And before I do, I just want to extend this district here. Great, so now I think it makes a lot of sense to put high density residential behind, or rather on our collector, on our arterial. Doesn't matter what it is. And we'll just go along and fill out as many of these spaces as we can, because our demand for residential is pretty high, pretty consistent and growing. And we don't want to run out of space in order to put up some residential. So, and I wonder, there's a little pocket here. I don't know what to do with this yet, but I think it's just going to be residential since we have such strong demand. So let's get a new road in here. And I'm going to try very hard not to break the... Oh, I guess there is no fence along the back. Yeah, I am mindful of not destroying these hotels by zoning a road behind it. So let's preempt that and put in a fence. Great, another little new neighborhood in there. We're going to take advantage of all these little pockets. Yes, I know it's right next to the train station, but that's not a problem for me. In order to get the maximum size buildings, I'm just going to put in a fence on this road in order to block the zoning from that side. There we go. We'll get some bigger buildings that way. One other thing I'm noticing is that I came all the way along here with a fence, and I don't want to destroy these buildings, but I'm probably going to do that by doing that. So pausing for a second, yeah, I've unfortunately moved the zoning, maybe not unfortunately, but I do kind of want to preserve that as much as I can on this road. I'll run it again, and I am going to give all of these spaces, they're residential. The reason being because I know we're going to have more space along the beach that we'll use for commercial, and so our hotels will continue to grow out along the beach all the way down here, and so we're going to reserve our commercial demand for that. And in the next episode, I think what we're going to do is we're going to finish with the island of Holmevik. We're going to fill up this area, have a special plan for this, have a special plan for the nature reserve, which it is going to turn into a nature reserve. And then I think we'll move on to our downtown. I've got some big plans for that. I want to take advantage of the new content creator packs and the DLCs, especially the skyscrapers pack, which I absolutely love. I've been playing with that, and it's just phenomenal. So we've basically run through all of our demand for residential. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit, and let's see how we did. Let's take stock. So we've got this interesting area up here, a little bit of a security checkpoint, and yeah, I love the way these mountain roads turned out. Nothing is too crazy or too steep, at least I don't think so. We do have a little bit of issues with this sort of grading here. I'm not sure I can fix it, but I'm going to try. Alright, I'm not sure I made it a whole lot better, but at least I feel better. Now let's just do one last thing and check that our fire watchtowers are still covering what they're supposed to be covering. Certainly wouldn't want a forest fire in here. So when I moved that one watchtower, it did kind of break the coverage, so we're just going to adjust and hope for the best here. Alright, so there's a reason why some of these trees are not protected, and I think it's because they're sitting in a depression. The fire watchtowers can't actually see them. I'm not too worried about that. It's certainly not something we're going to waste our time on. I think we're going to leave it here. Very short episode for you here. Something a little different, but I didn't want to just build 2 nature preserves. I wanted this to be something a little bit unusual, and I think that's what we have here. We've got something that is, there's a little bit of historical interest or accuracy to the Sabians if you want to take a look and Wikipedia that. I think it's interesting to do something different, and I think we have done that here. I think we've got an interesting backstory with this star worshipping cult that live underground here for the most part, and they're very well funded, so they've got access to these astronomical technologies like the deep space radar and the observatory, and they're very well funded, and they're very private, and so they've fenced all this off. They don't come out for much. When they do need to fly in their leadership, it's with this helicopter port here. Can we see a helicopter? Let's take a look. That's a plane. Anyway, I think it worked out. I'm quite happy. It's as if we're sort of an evil layer on the hill here, and I wonder if I can just maybe add a little bit of tree cover here. So we've just given them a bit of cover from the road. So now if you look up there, kind of not sure what's going on. It just looks like someone's evil lair, and that's exactly what we're going for. So I'm gonna leave it here. That was a nice quick episode. I love it. Tell me what you think. Is it worth a while? Is it believable? Just something funny. I promise you it would be weird. And so thanks for watching. If you did like this, hit the like button. And if you want to see more content like this, just click the little notification bell, subscribe, and you'll get notified when I do make some new content. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.